Welcome back to Coins Tool. Today we are diving into the Jefferson 5-cent nickel coin. Since its introduction in 1938, the Jefferson nickel has become one of the most widely collected coins in America. It has been in circulation for decades and millions of them have been minted. But not all nickels are created equal. Some of these coins, because of rare minting errors, historical importance, or their unique condition, can be worth thousands and even millions of dollars in the current market. In this video, we are going to explore the top 6 most valuable Jefferson nickels that you might just come across in your change, in an old collection, or hidden in a jar somewhere in the attic. We are exploring a very interesting and historic coin, the 1964 Jefferson 5-cent nickel. At first glance, the 1964 nickel might look like an ordinary coin that has been in circulation for decades, but once you learn about its history, its background, and its hidden potential value, you will discover why collectors and investors keep an eye out for this particular year. Some of these nickels are worth only face value, while others can bring in hundreds, even thousands of dollars in the right condition and with the right errors, and some of the finest examples have even reached astonishing figures in the current coin market. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, on the obverse, and on the reverse side it proudly displays Monticello, Jefferson's famous home in Virginia. The design remained largely unchanged for decades, making the 1964 issue part of a very long-running and familiar series of American coinage. However, what makes the 1964 nickel so special is not just the design, but the context of its mintage and the enormous number of coins struck that year. In 1964, the United States Mint produced an extraordinary number of nickels. This was the final year when the mint placed a date on nickels for several years without a mint mark due to a massive coin shortage during the 1960s. As a result, the mintage numbers skyrocketed. Over 1 billion nickels were produced between the Philadelphia and Denver mints in 1964 alone. This makes the 1964 nickel one of the most common Jefferson nickels ever made, which is why many people assume it has no real value beyond 5 cents. But as coin collectors know, rarity is not the only factor. Condition, mint errors, and proof-like qualities can elevate a coin's value tremendously. For collectors, what makes the 1964 nickel valuable are examples in pristine uncirculated condition, coins with unique die varieties, and coins with striking mint errors. A coin that has been in circulation with scratches, wear, and marks will usually not fetch more than face value. However, a coin graded in the highest levels of mint state by professional grading companies can sell for a surprising amount. For example, a 1964 Jefferson nickel in mint state 66 or higher with full steps on Monticello is considered very desirable. The term full steps refers to the staircase detail on Monticello, which is often weakly struck. A coin with sharp, complete step lines is much rarer and commands a premium in the marketplace. Another interesting factor is proof coins from 1964. The mint also issued proof nickels, which are specially struck coins with mirror-like surfaces intended for collectors. These proof coins can carry strong value if kept in pristine condition. Some cameo and deep cameo proof nickels from 1964 are especially attractive and can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on quality. Now let's talk about errors and varieties. Coin errors can turn an ordinary nickel into a collector's dream. Known error types for the 1964 Jefferson nickel include double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and repunched mint marks. For example, some 1964 D nickels show a repunched D mint mark, where the letter D was stamped more than once. These varieties are popular with collectors and can sell for far more than the face value of the coin. Other dramatic errors such as off-center strikes or broad strikes can make the coin even more desirable. So, what is the current market value of the 1964 Jefferson nickel today? For most circulated coins found in pocket change, the value is just 5 cents. For coins in average circulated condition, there is no premium. However, for coins in uncirculated mint state condition, the value increases. A regular 1964 nickel in MS-65 condition can be worth between $10 and $30, while coins graded MS-66 or higher can bring in hundreds of dollars. A rare example with full steps can fetch significantly more, sometimes into the thousands. In fact, one of the highest graded 1964 Jefferson nickels with full steps sold for over $15,000 at auction. Proof coins in deep cameo condition can sell for several $1,000s as well. And when it comes to dramatic mint errors, those can command whatever collectors are willing to pay, with some bringing in hundreds or even more depending on the rarity of the mistake. Collectors often ask if it is worth holding on to 1964 nickels. The answer is yes, if the coin is in excellent condition or if it shows any unique error or variety. Because so many were minted, circulated examples are not rare, but high-quality coins with sharp details are much more difficult to find. Coin grading plays a huge role here, as a small difference in grade can mean a big jump in price. For example, the difference between an MS-64 coin and an MS-66 full steps coin can mean hundreds or even thousands of dollars difference in value. Another thing to remember is that the 1964 nickel marks the end of an important chapter in U.S. coin history. After 1964, the mint stopped using mint marks for several years in an effort to prevent coin hoarding during the national coin shortage. This makes 1964 the last year of its kind and adds historical interest to the coin.so. In conclusion, while most 1964 Jefferson nickels are still worth face value and remain one of the most common coins in circulation, certain examples can be worth a lot of money. From pristine mint state coins with full steps, to proof coins with deep cameo contrast, to rare mint errors and varieties, collectors are always on the lookout for standout pieces from this year. The current market shows strong demand for top-quality coins, with prices ranging from just a few dollars for average uncirculated examples all the way up to tens of thousands for the finest known specimens. If you ever come across a 1964 nickel in beautiful condition or with an unusual error, it might be worth getting it graded and evaluated because you could be holding a coin worth far more than just 5 cents. We are exploring the fascinating story of the 1989 P. Jefferson 5-cent nickel coin. At first glance, this coin may look like just another ordinary nickel you might find in your pocket change. But the truth is, there is so much more behind it. From its design and history to its rarity in certain conditions, the 1989 P nickel has become a collectible that every coin enthusiast should know about. And by the end of this video, you will understand why some examples of this coin can be worth a lot of money in today's market. So stay tuned because we are going to break down everything you need to know about this coin, including its history, production details, and current market value, which in some cases can reach thousands of dollars. Let's begin with the history. The Jefferson nickel series first appeared in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel which had been in circulation since 1913. The design of the Jefferson nickel was created by Felix Schlag, who won a public competition to redesign the coin. On the obverse, we see a portrait of the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, facing left. On the reverse, we find Jefferson's home, Monticello, a symbol of his legacy and his role in American history. This design became one of the most recognizable in U.S. coinage, and it remained unchanged for decades. The 1989 nickel continues this tradition and carries the same classic look that collectors admire. The 1989 P. Jefferson nickel was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, as indicated by the small letter P located on the obverse of the coin just below the date. This was a time when the mint was producing coins in very large quantities, and indeed, more than 898 million nickels were struck in Philadelphia alone in 1989. Because of this massive production, you might think that the coin is extremely common and not valuable at all. However, the reality is that certain factors make specific examples of the 1989 P nickel worth far more than face value. When it comes to coin collecting, condition is everything. Most 1989 P nickels that circulated in everyday use have scratches, wear, and loss of detail, which means they are only worth their face value of 5 cents. But high-grade coins that were carefully preserved or that never entered circulation can be worth much more. Collectors especially look for coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC that receive high grades such as Mint State 65, 66, or higher. These coins have sharp details, clean surfaces, and attractive luster that make them stand out from the millions of average examples. Now let's talk about value. A circulated 1989 P. Jefferson nickel is worth only 5 cents. However, if you find one in uncirculated condition, the value jumps. A Mint State 65 example can sell for around $10 to $20, while a Mint State 66 example can go for even higher, often in the range of $50 to $100 depending on the quality. The real excitement begins when we get to the top population coins. A 1989 P. Jefferson nickel in Mint State 67 or higher is incredibly rare. Some of these coins have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars at auction. One superb example in pristine condition with blazing luster and nearly flawless surfaces was sold for more than $2,000, showing just how much collectors are willing to pay for the very best examples. Another factor that adds value to the 1989p nickel is errors and varieties. During minting, mistakes sometimes occur that can make a coin unique. Collectors love these error coins because they are rare and unusual. Some errors seen on the 1989p nickel include off-center strikes, double dies where the lettering or design elements are doubled, and planchet errors where the coin was struck on an incorrect metal blank. Depending on the severity and visibility of the error, these coins can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So if you ever find a 1989p nickel that looks strange or has doubling in the date or lettering, be sure to hold on to it because it might be worth a small fortune. To put things into perspective, imagine finding a common-looking nickel in your change and realizing it could be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. This is why coin collecting is so exciting. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes the most ordinary-looking ones hide the biggest surprises. As of today's market, most average 1989p Jefferson nickels still trade for just face value, but the uncirculated gems and rare error coins are highly sought after. A collector who wants to complete a high-grade Jefferson nickel set will gladly pay top dollar for one of the finest known examples. That is why grading, preservation, and careful inspection are so important when it comes to coin collecting. So what should you do if you come across a 1989p nickel? First, check its condition. If it looks worn, it probably isn't worth more than 5 cents. But if it looks sharp, shiny, and almost brand new, consider having it graded. Also, look carefully for any signs of mint errors such as doubling, off-center designs, or other unusual features. Those could drastically increase the value of your coin. The 1989p Jefferson nickel may not be as famous as some earlier dates like the 1950D or wartime silver nickels from the 1940s, but it is a coin with its own unique charm and potential value. With more than 898 million produced, most of them will remain common, but those few rare gems in pristine condition or with minting errors are the treasures that every collector hopes to discover. In conclusion, the 1989p Jefferson 5-cent nickel is more than just a simple coin. It represents American history, artistry, and the thrill of collecting. While most examples are only worth face value, the rare high-grade coins and error varieties can be worth a lot of money, sometimes reaching thousands of dollars. So always keep your eyes open because that ordinary-looking nickel in your pocket might just turn out to be a valuable treasure. Video is all about the Jefferson nickel minted in the year 1994 with the Denver Mint mark, the 1994D Jefferson 5-cent nickel coin. You might think a nickel is just small change in your pocket, but certain coins from this year and minting location can be worth far more than face value. Some rare examples of this coin can even fetch thousands of dollars in today's market. So, if you have a collection of old coins or even just a jar of spare change lying around, you will want to watch this video closely because you may be sitting on a hidden treasure. Let's begin with the history. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and it features the portrait of the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, on the obverse side. The design was created by Felix Schlag, whose initials can still be found on the coin. The reverse of the coin displays Jefferson's famous home, Monticello, an iconic piece of American history that symbolizes both his legacy and architectural brilliance. For decades, this design remained unchanged, making it one of the most familiar coins in circulation across the country. The year 1994 was an interesting one in U.S. coinage. Millions of Jefferson nickels were minted that year at the Denver Mint, identified by the small letter D under the year on the obverse side. Because so many were struck, most 1994D nickels are still worth only their face value of 5 cents in circulated condition. However, this is where collectors and coin enthusiasts pay close attention, because it is not just about the year or the mint mark, it is about the condition, the grade, and whether or not a coin contains special errors or varieties. Now let's talk about value. A regular 1994D Jefferson nickel in average circulated condition is generally only worth 5 cents. But once you start looking at coins in uncirculated or mint state condition, the story changes dramatically. Coins that are graded MS65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can bring in far more money. In fact, collectors are willing to pay a premium for a shiny, well-struck coin with no scratches, marks, or signs of wear. A 1994 D Jefferson nickel in superb gem mint state condition has been sold for hundreds of dollars at auction. But that is not all. The real excitement comes with error coins and rare varieties. Minting errors can turn a common nickel into a collector's dream. Some examples include off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the blank planchet was not properly aligned when struck. Others include doubled dies, where parts of the lettering or design appear doubled because of a misalignment during the die creation process. Another highly collectible error is the full steps variety on the reverse side of the Monticello design. The full steps designation means that all of the steps leading up to Monticello are fully visible and sharply struck. These are very rare because most nickels, even in mint condition, have weak strikes that blur the steps. Collectors pay top dollar for nickels with clearly defined full steps, and the 1994 D is no exception. So what are we talking about in terms of actual numbers? A 1994 D Jefferson nickel in normal circulated condition is just 5 cents. In uncirculated condition without full steps, values can range from $2 up to $20 depending on the grade. But if you happen to own a full steps example, the price skyrockets. At auction, some full steps 1994 D nickels have been known to sell for hundreds, and in extremely high grades they can reach into the thousands of dollars. In fact, one particularly high-quality full steps example of the 1994 D Jefferson nickel has been valued at over $68,000, making it one of the most desirable modern nickels on the market today. That is an incredible jump in value from just 5 cents to tens of thousands of dollars. This shows us just how important condition and rarity are in coin collecting. The difference between a coin that is worth only its face value and one worth thousands of dollars often comes down to details so small that you need magnification to see them. That is why coin collectors use loupes, microscopes, and grading services to carefully examine their coins. Now let's think about the current market. Coin collecting has been growing in popularity again, and demand for high-grade Jefferson nickels continues to rise. With more people getting interested in error coins and varieties, prices for these rare examples have been holding strong. If you happen to find a 1994 D nickel in excellent condition or one that shows a mint error, you may want to have it graded professionally. This is the best way to maximize its value and attract serious collectors who are willing to pay top dollar. In summary, the 1994 D Jefferson nickel is a coin that on the surface looks very ordinary, but with the right combination of condition, grade, and rarity, it can be worth far more than 5 cents. Most are still just pocket change, but the rare few with sharp strikes, full steps, or mint errors can reach values from hundreds to tens of thousands of dollars. The highest reported market value for a rare full steps 1994 D Jefferson nickel has been a jaw-dropping $68,000, proving that modern coins still hold incredible treasures for those who know what to look for. So the next time you come across a 1994 D nickel, don't dismiss it. Take a closer look because you never know what you might have. Could be one of those rare coins that turns a small piece of change into a life-changing discovery. We are diving deep into the fascinating world of United States coinage and shining a spotlight on the Jefferson nickel minted in 2007 at the Philadelphia Mint. The 2007 P. Jefferson 5-cent nickel may seem like just another everyday coin you might find in your pocket change, but as history has proven time and time again, ordinary coins can often carry extraordinary stories, and sometimes even extraordinary values. So let's explore the history, design, errors, varieties, and the true current market value of this coin that many collectors are watching closely. The Jefferson nickel first appeared in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel after a national design competition. Felix Schlag's portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, was chosen to appear on the obverse, while Jefferson's home Monticello graced the reverse. This design endured for decades until the early 2000s when the United States Mint launched the Westward Journey nickel series honoring the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark expedition. In 2004 and 2005, the nickel underwent major design changes, and by 2006, a completely new portrait of Jefferson was unveiled, one that faces forward instead of the traditional profile. This new portrait, crafted by sculptor Jamie Franke, gave Jefferson a modern and bold look, symbolizing a new era for the nickel, and this design is the same one used for the 2007 P. Jefferson nickel. The 2007 P. nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and millions upon millions were produced for circulation. In fact, over 700 million examples rolled out that year, which makes it seem like a common coin. However, as collectors know, not all coins are created equal. When it comes to value, condition, rarity, errors, and varieties are what set some coins apart from the rest, and this is where things get very interesting with the 2007p nickel in circulated condition. A 2007p nickel is typically only worth its face value of 5 cents. If you pull one out of pocket change, it is usually not going to buy you more than a candy, but in higher uncirculated grades, the story changes dramatically. Collectors pay strong premiums for coins in pristine condition because finding flawless examples becomes harder the more coins are used and worn down. For example, a 2007p Jefferson nickel graded in mint state MS65 can fetch around $5 to $10, while examples in MS66 can bring $20 to $40. Coins in MS67 are where the money starts to climb, with prices ranging from $150 to over $400 at auction, depending on eye appeal and strike quality. Now the true treasures are the top population coins, those few examples graded MS68 by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC. These coins are nearly perfect with beautiful luster, razor-sharp details, and no noticeable marks. Some MS68 examples of the 2007p nickel have sold for thousands of dollars, with record sales reaching into the range of $3,000 to $5,000. But that is not all, because error coins are another area where the 2007p Jefferson nickel shines. Errors occur when something goes wrong in the minting process, and collectors absolutely love these mistakes. Some of the most notable errors for this year include off-center strikes, which can be worth anywhere from $50 to several $100s, depending on how dramatic the error is. Double die obverse and reverse varieties, where doubling of letters or design elements can command prices from $100 to over $1,000, and full step nickels, where the steps on Monticello on the reverse are fully struck and visible. This is an area of major importance to Jefferson nickel collectors. A 2007p nickel with full steps in high grade can sell for hundreds, and in the rarest top grades even over $2,000. One famous example is a 2007p Jefferson nickel graded MS67 with full steps, which sold at auction for close to $4,000, proving just how much collectors are willing to pay for perfection and rarity in modern coinage. So even though most people see the 2007 nickel as a simple 5-cent coin, it can in fact be a treasure worth a lot more than you would expect. The history of the Jefferson nickel is a proud one because it has been in continuous production since 1938, making it one of the longest-running coin series in American history. The 2007p issue represents the second year of the forward-facing Jefferson portrait, which makes it an important piece of the modern nickel series. It marks the transition from the westward journey designs back to a more permanent an enduring image of Jefferson himself, symbolizing both tradition and change in United States coinage. Now, let's talk about the current market value today. If you search online auction houses, coin dealers, or eBay listings, you will see that common circulated 2007p nickels are generally worth face value. Uncirculated examples in rolls and bags might bring small premiums, usually $10 to $20 for a full roll of 40 nickels. High-grade certified examples in MS66 or MS67 continue to be the real winners, with collectors chasing them aggressively and paying strong premiums. As I mentioned earlier, coins with full steps designation or spectacular mint errors are especially hot in today's market. Some collectors are even holding on to these coins in hopes that future demand will push prices higher as more collectors turn their attention to modern nickels. So what does this mean for you if you happen to come across a 2007p nickel in your pocket change or coin jar? Always take a moment to look closely, check the condition, see if the steps on Monticello are sharp and complete, look for doubling or striking errors, and consider the possibility that you may be holding something worth far more than a nickel, because hidden treasures can appear anywhere, and the 2007p Jefferson nickel is proof of that. In conclusion, the 2007p Jefferson 5-cent nickel is not just a small coin, it is a piece of American history carrying the legacy of Thomas Jefferson, the artistry of modern mint designers, and the potential for surprising value from a few cents to thousands of dollars, depending on condition, errors, and rarity. This coin reminds us why collecting is such an exciting journey, because the thrill of discovery can start with something as simple as checking your change. We are diving into the Jefferson nickel, specifically the 2016p 5-cent nickel coin. At first glance, it may look like an ordinary coin, one that you might spend without thinking. But as with so many modern issues, there are details that can make certain examples extremely valuable. Stay tuned, because you are going to learn the history, what makes the 2016p nickel unique, and how some of these coins can be worth a lot of money in today's market. The Jefferson nickel has a long history that goes back to 1938, when it replaced the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin featured the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, his Virginia home, on the reverse. Over the decades, the design went through several changes, but Jefferson's portrait has remained a staple of the coin, making it one of the most familiar pieces of circulating currency in America in 2004 and 2005. The nickel underwent a temporary redesign to honor the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Then, in 2006, the Mint introduced a new modern portrait of Jefferson designed by Jamie Franke. This design carried forward, and that is the style you see on the 2016 P nickel. The obverse shows a forward-facing Jefferson with a lifelike expression and the word Liberty written in Jefferson's own handwriting. The reverse continues to feature Monticello, honoring Jefferson's legacy. The Philadelphia Mint struck the 2016 nickel with the P Mint mark. Billions were produced, so on the surface it may seem like these coins are common and ordinary. But collectors know that not all nickels are created equal. Condition, mint errors, and varieties can make all the difference in value. Now let's talk about what can make your 2016 P Jefferson nickel worth more than face value. The first factor is condition. Most nickels you find in circulation are worn from years of use. But a coin that has never been spent and remains in mint state condition can bring a premium. Coins graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC in MS65, MS66, or higher can be worth several dollars, sometimes even more depending on the demand among collectors. The second factor is errors. The U.S. Mint produces millions of coins each day, and mistakes do happen. Some 2016 nickels feature die cracks, die clashes, off-center strikes, or even double dies. These errors are highly sought after because they are one of a kind. For example, a 2016 nickel with a strong off-center strike can be worth anywhere from $50 to several $100 depending on how dramatic the error is. A double die obverse or reverse, where parts of the design appear doubled, can also command a high price from collectors eager to add something unique to their collections. Another thing to keep in mind is full steps. When you look at the reverse of the Jefferson nickel, at the base of Monticello there are a series of steps. On most coins these steps are weakly struck and not fully visible. But on a small percentage of nickels the steps are sharp and fully detailed. These are known as full steps nickels, and collectors pay a huge premium for them. A 2016 P Jefferson nickel with full steps in a high mint state grade could be worth anywhere from $50 up to several $100 depending on the grade. Let's look at some real market examples. Recent auction sales show that a regular 2016 P nickel in circulated condition is worth only face value, 5 cents. However, in higher mint state grades the value increases significantly. Coins graded MS67 with full steps have sold for hundreds of dollars at auction. In fact, one record example of a 2016 P nickel with stunning luster and sharp full steps sold for well over $1,000, proving that even modern coins can bring serious money if the right conditions are met. So how can you tell if your 2016 P Jefferson nickel is valuable? First, check the overall condition. If it looks nearly flawless with a bright, sharp strike, you may have a higher grade coin worth sending in for grading. Next, examine the Monticello steps on the reverse to see if you can count all the lines clearly. If you have full steps, you are looking at a much scarcer and more valuable example. And finally, always be on the lookout for mint errors such as doubling, die cracks, or off-center strikes. The beauty of modern coin collecting is that treasures can still be found in your pocket change, bank rolls, or even in jars of coins you have lying around at home. The 2016 P Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of how a coin that is technically very common can still be worth a lot of money under the right circumstances. To sum it up, most 2016 P nickels are worth face value, but high-grade mint state coins with full steps can bring hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Error coins add even more excitement to the hunt, with values ranging from tens of dollars to several hundred. The current market value shows that collectors are paying strong premiums for quality coins, so it is definitely worth taking a second look at any 2016 P nickels you come across. So the next time you get change from the store or go through a bankroll, take a close look at your nickels. You never know if you might be holding a valuable treasure that could turn your 5-cent coin into a piece worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. We are going to talk about a modern coin that many people overlook, but it has incredible history and some of its varieties and conditions can be worth a lot of money in today's market. I am talking about the 2020 P Jefferson 5-cent nickel coin from the United States of America. The Jefferson nickel has been one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. First introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, the Jefferson nickel features the portrait of America's third president, Thomas Jefferson, on the obverse side. The reverse of the early nickels showed his famous home Monticello, located in Virginia. Over the years, the design has seen small changes, but Jefferson's portrait has always remained a key symbol on the coin. Now let us focus on the 2020p nickel specifically. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint and carries the P Mint mark just to the right of Jefferson's bust. In 2006, the U.S. Mint updated the obverse design to a forward-facing portrait of Jefferson, making the modern coins stand out from the earlier left-facing portrait design. By 2020, this design had already been in use for several years and collectors were already paying close attention to small differences, errors, and high-grade examples. The year 2020 was a unique time for coin collecting in the United States. Because of the global pandemic, coin circulation slowed down, and many people held onto their change. This caused coin shortages in banks and stores across the country. The 2020 dated coins, including the Jefferson nickel, became a focus for collectors, and some began paying special attention to high-quality examples and rare error coins. In terms of composition, the 2020p nickel is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, with a weight of 5 grams and a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. It has a plain edge. While billions of nickels have been struck over the years, the condition of the coin and the presence of mint errors can make a huge difference in value. Now let us talk about value. A regular circulated 2020p Jefferson nickel that you might find in your pocket change is usually only worth its face value of 5 cents. However, uncirculated coins straight from bank rolls or mint sets can be worth more. A typical uncirculated 2020p nickel in MS60 to MS63 condition might sell for around $1 or $2 to collectors. That may not sound like much, but when you move up to higher grades such as MS66 or MS67 with strong luster and clean surfaces, the value can rise significantly. For example, 2020p Jefferson nickels graded MS67 by PCGS or NGC have been known to sell for well over $100 in auctions. Extremely high-quality examples in MS67 with full steps designation, which means the steps on Monticello on the reverse are fully struck and visible, can command even higher prices. Full steps nickels are highly prized among Jefferson nickel collectors and can multiply the value of the coin dramatically. But where things get really interesting is with the error coins. The U.S. Mint often produces coins with small mistakes during the minting process, and 2020 nickels are no exception. Collectors look for double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, cuds, clipped planchets, and other minting errors. Some of these errors can turn an ordinary 5-cent coin into a collectible worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. For example, an off-center strike where Jefferson's portrait is shifted and part of the design is missing can be worth $50 to $200 depending on how dramatic the error is. A double die error, where parts of the lettering or design appear doubled, can also add significant value. Even small die cracks or die chips in noticeable places, such as around the eye or mouth of Jefferson or on the steps of Monticello, can make the coin more desirable to collectors. Another factor that makes the 2020p nickel appealing to collectors is that it is part of a series that people love to collect by date and mint mark. Having a high-grade example of every year and every mint mark is a challenge, and collectors will pay a premium for coins that fill those spots in top condition. As of the current market, some of the most valuable 2020p Jefferson nickels have sold for big money in certified condition. A pristine example graded MS67 full steps by PCGS has been reported at auction for more than $2,000. This is an incredible price for a coin that is only worth 5 cents in circulation. Even coins graded MS66 full steps can reach between $200 and $600 depending on demand. So what does this mean for you? It means that when you get change back at a store or if you are searching through coin rolls from the bank, you should keep your eyes open for 2020p Jefferson nickels. Look for coins in shiny, uncirculated condition with no scratches or wear. Use a magnifying glass to examine the details, especially the steps of Monticello, and check for any doubling in the letters or design. If you spot something unusual, you may have found a valuable treasure hiding in your pocket change. To sum it up, the 2020p Jefferson nickel may seem like just another modern coin, but in the world of coin collecting, condition and rarity matter more than age alone. Circulated examples are usually worth face value, but high-grade uncirculated coins with full steps or error varieties can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. One rare coin even reached the $2,000 mark, proving that modern nickels are worth saving and checking carefully. So next time you see a 2020p nickel, do not just spend it without looking. could be a key coin that adds value to your collection or even brings you a nice profit. That is the beauty of coin collecting. Something as small as 5 cents can carry a story of history, rarity, and value that goes far beyond its face value. If you enjoyed learning about the 2020p Jefferson nickel and its potential value, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more coin value guides and rare coin discoveries. You never know when your pocket change could hold the next valuable coin worth a fortune.